Swine It.
It's time for a new era of communication in the swine industry, one that you can get the latest updates while commuting or driving to farms. Here you will have the brightest minds of the global swine industry in your pocket.
The true upper critical temperature of our modern sow that's nursing 14 pigs is right at 18 degrees C, and it may even be cooler than 18 C. Anyone that runs their farrowing house higher than 18 C is already slightly overheating the sow.
Swine It podcast is only possible with the support of forward-looking and innovative sponsors like Allan Schinckel's Prevacent, a new PRRS Spective. Visit Prevacent, PRRS.US to learn more. NutriQuest, experts serving producers and delivering breakthrough solutions. Genesis, the first power in genetics. Zinpro, essential trace minerals, exceptional performance. Every Pig, a simple yet powerful pig health and production management tool. Gestall, always one step ahead in swine feeding.
Welcome to Swine It podcast. My name is 𝘵𝘳𝘐𝐴 𝐿𝑒𝑟𝑜, your host for today's episode.
This episode's sponsor highlight is about Zinpro. Since 1971, Zinpro Corporation has focused on one thing: trace mineral nutrition. As the most research-proven organic feed trace mineral products in the industry, Zinpro Performance Minerals deliver performance and profitability to swine operations around the globe. To know more, go to zinpro.com.
Hello everyone. Today we have Dr. Allan Schinckel from the Purdue University, and he's going to talk about sow cooling strategies. And with that, thanks, Dr. Schinckel, again for your time here today.
You're welcome.
If you could, Dr. Schinckel, walk us through your background and your career so far before we jump into the technical aspect.
Well, I grew up on a multi-species, now considered smaller farm in eastern Iowa, actually about 3 miles north of the 𝘍𝑜𝘫𝑗𝐸 exchange. Pigs, cattle, even had a few ducks and chickens, and grew up doing 4-H, went to Iowa State in animal sciences, and then went on and got a master's and Ph.D. in genetics from University of Nebraska.
Very nice.
I've been here at Purdue in extension, research, and teaching. Swine, I teach a 500-level genetics course. I teach swine production, and I teach a 1-credit 500-level swine growth modeling class.
Interesting. Yeah, very diverse. That's very cool. And so yeah, from the sow cooling strategy standpoint, do we have any idea? And I know you mentioned previously that's a bit hard to estimate the economic impact of heat stressing sows. Do we have any measures of that today?
Well, one estimate that I found, heat stress in pigs in the United States total, which includes growth finish and sows, approaches about $1 billion.
Wow.
On the sow side, it is a matter of how much the sows are heat stressed, and under extreme heat stress, you can have an increased mortality rate right before, during, and after farrowing. You'll have decreased intake, decreased weaning weights, and increased number of days from weaning to estrus, smaller subsequent litter sizes. And most producers know that they need to approximately double the size of their gilt pool when it starts getting in the upper 80s, lower 90s, for some of the temperatures in time of farrowing and time of breeding.
Right, because of the farrowing rate reduction.
The farrowing rate's going to go down. The number of sows you detect in heat goes down. The size of the gilt pool increases. You'll be mating a lot of sows with a lower conception rate, lower subsequent litter size. And then you'll be culling more sows because you just don't detect them in heat, especially if it's a prolonged summer.
Interesting. Very nice. So from you've been doing a lot of research on that area of sow cooling strategies. So what would be those latest strategies for cooling sows?
Okay, we have developed a cooling pad that is very effective at cooling sows, but other pads that have been developed in the past would use like steel pipes and put steel pipes into concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually turns out you want a cooling pad that has a low heat capacitance. It doesn't really store heat, but will transfer excess heat from the sow into the cooling water as efficiently and effectively as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the materials that transfer heat most efficiently are aluminum and copper.
Interesting.
So we have a copper plate that is stamped on the top so it's not smooth, a tread plate, and then there's a patented thermal fin that attaches the copper pipes that's made out of aluminum and attaches the copper pipe snap into. But we can cool down sows depending upon the temperature using about 1/4 of a liter to 3/4 of a liter of water per minute.
Interesting.
Where the water would be around 17 C coming in.
Okay.
If we, on the more advanced pads that we just completed work on, we go to electronic controls of flushing water. And you've got to understand, at first we did a lot of what we call bench testing, but we had an artificial sow, which is about a 50-gallon tank of water on top of the pad with a rubberized kind of lower belly. And then we had a water heater that would heat the water at 37 to 38 C. And then we looked at different flushing. But if we can either have the pads flush on the set temperature of the base of the aluminum sheet, or we can have kind of a control the timing of how often we flush the pads. But in that case, we let the water temperature rise, absorb the heat from the animal, and then we flush and replace the water. And the pipes hold about 1.75 liters of water. So we flush 2 liters of water. If we use a flushing technique, we reduce the amount of water that's needed by another 50%.
Interesting. And if I recall correctly, you've seen a lot of change, right? At least from a respiratory rate and a few other things, right?
Yes, and I had a former student, Francisco Cabazon, who was very self-motivated, but we took a lot of respiration rates, skin temps, and rectal temps. And when we start a trial, we'll have 12 sows maybe in this room, and we'll go around every 20 minutes. But we have heated rooms to 35, and sometimes they've crept up to 36 C. And the sows that are on the cooling pad at 0.6 to 0.7 liters per minute are absolutely comfortable with a respiration rate of 24 to 26. The sows not on a cooling pad that's a control or a control powering crate at that same temperature have a respiration rate of around 110. And so we can actually, with that 0.7 of a liter per minute, which is a very slow flow rate, cool the animal down as if it's absolutely thermal neutral. Skin temp, rectal temp, and respiration rate. If we up the water to about 1.1, 1.2 liters per minute, we can actually even over-chill the animal, even if the animal is at 36 C.
Wow.
We did it once and put the pad at 1.4 liters, and the animal was moving from one side to the other side as it cooled down one side of its body to the other side of the body. And so we can also estimate how much heat we're removing. The pad is 2 foot wide, 4 foot long. A large sow completely covers the pad. And we know the inlet temperature. We have a thermocouple in the water flow. We have the outlet temperature. We know the flow rate. But we have removed more than 500 and 50 watts of heat from the animal. The animal only is producing about 500 watts. So we actually can have an animal that is overheated and lower its body temperature by 1.5 degrees centigrade, and then bring its respiration rate absolutely back down within about 35 to 40 minutes time.
Wow.
Now, that 520 watts is more than 4 times that heat removal than you can have with steel pipes in concrete.
4 times.
Because steel pipes in concrete is just not an effective transfer of heat from the sow into the water.
Did you observe any change in feed intake or weaning weight at all?
In our one trial that we did, we only had the animals heated to 32 C during the day and 27 C at night. We saw a 13% increase in feed intake.
Wow. Did that translate to weaning weight?
Now, the other thing you have to remember is that the true upper critical temperature of our modern sow that's nursing 14 pigs is right at 18 degrees C, and it may even be cooler than 18 C. Anyone that runs their farrowing house higher than 18 C is already slightly overheating the sow. So producers at the beginning of farrowing, running their farrowing house at 23, 24, 25 C, the modern sow is already overheated. And then, of course, in the summer months when the room gets to be 25, 26 and higher temperatures, the animal is that additionally overheated.
Right.
Now, we have a team of people working on this heat stress physiology area from a swine nutrition management standpoint, a reproductive standpoint, a heat stress physiology, animal well-being standpoint. And we work with a USDA person, Jay Johnson, and we've started doing work with indirect calorimetry with the sows. But a typical sow on a hot summer day, by the time she's panting around 70 to 80 breaths a minute, has already reduced her heat production by at least 40 to possibly 50%.
Oh, wow.
Now, by the time she's panting, she's using energy to pant.
Right.
So what's happened? She shut down her digestion, shunted blood to her skin, and shut down milk production by 70 to 80%.
Oh, wow.
So during the hottest part of the day, the sows have absolutely shut down milk production. And if you listen real close, the pigs suddenly become very hungry in the middle of the day. Then when it finally cools down later in the evening and at night, the sows switch around their feed intake, eat more at night, and start producing more milk again at night. So we've quickly realized that the sows are very dynamic, and once the sow starts overheating, you see a sow panting at 60, 70, 80 breaths a minute. She already has substantially decreased her milk production at that specific moment in time.
Very interesting. Wow. Did you see changes in weaning weight or not?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The last small trial we did, we saw both a 13% increase in feed intake and 13% increase in weaning weights.
Oh, wow.
The other people that had the cooling pads with the steel pipes and concrete also saw those type of advantages, even though the hottest part of the day they got the rooms to was 28 C. So we've not done any research, smack dab in the middle of the summer. But we think that with the cooling pads, essentially we would have the same feed intakes and same weaning weights as you would have if the sow was absolutely thermal neutral. Wow.
So is it available today for producers or not yet? What's the status of them?
Well, we have signed a number of NDAs with companies who want to manufacture them by the hundreds. And then once those pads start getting built by the hundreds and by the thousands, then we will be writing SBIR grants and doing trials to show their use on, we call them beta testing swine farms. And we have a number of swine farms that have raised their hands and said that we want to be the first ones to have them. And we would probably, do a farm in Indiana and do a farm in Oklahoma and do a farm in North Carolina kind of situation.
Wow.
And then look at their change in performance over a year period of time.
Very nice. Is it so we're talking here in the next year or so or more?
In the next year or so.
Okay.
And Purdue owns the patents, and the biggest thing slowing it down is discussion between lawyers.
Okay. Unsurprisingly. Very good. Wow. Anything else on this topic, Dr. Schinckel, from cooling strategies specifically or in general as well? Anything that you would recommend today as well for producers? And
there is one thing that is kind of the struggle here is that with our increased litter size, the baby pigs want it warmer and warmer. And producers, some of them are looking at, what can we keep the farrowing house 72 degrees or 73 degrees or 74 degrees. And that's becoming increasingly too warm for the sows. And there are papers that the modern sow of today produces 55 to 70% more heat than the sow did of the mid-1980s.
Wow.
And whether it's high lean gain pigs and grow finish or it's high milk production in sows, growth and milk production produces heat. Now, the next areas that we're going to be starting to do research on is with Dr. Kara Stewart, and we're going, and Jay Johnson, again, with a heat stress physiologist, will be gestating gilts and sows that are just fed at about 125% maintenance, and then also doing trials with boars at 32C and 35C. And then we will expose the animals to heat, and with the boars, it will be a matter then of looking at their semen quality out the first 7 weeks after the heat stress.
Interesting. And is that one happening next year?
That will be happening in next year. In fact, the first week in January, we'll be doing the gestating gilts. And then we'll quickly look at that data and look at what is the optimal cooling for an animal that's being fed, at 350 pounds, 125% maintenance, and then make a decision what's going to be the optimal strategy for the boars.
Okay.
But with the boars, it's a matter that once you heat stress them, you affect their semen 7 weeks out. So you have to heat stress them, measure their semen over 7 weeks, reassign them to treatments, and do it again.
That makes sense. Very nice.
Celebrating its 25th anniversary, 𝐬𝑆 manufactures the original wireless standalone swine feeding system, designed by pork producers for pork producers. They are simple, reliable, and provide peace of mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. 𝐬𝑆 is not just manufactured by an equipment company, but by a family pork production business with a slat-level understanding. 𝐬𝑆, always one step ahead in swine feeding.
It is time to our famous three. I guess we can transition to our 3 questions, Dr. Schinckel, that we ask every guest every episode. And the first one is, what's your favorite swine-related book?
I would have to say it's NRC 2012, but some of the data in there as far as the growth curves, ractopamine curves is my data, but I use that as my textbook for the 1 credit graduate level swine growth modeling and nutritional requirements course that I teach.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, I love the NRC as well. Okay, and then how about a book or resource in general outside of pig production?
Well, I would say I'm a studier of the Bible, and that's been lifelong. And then I have another book that I like that was given to me by the author as she came and talked and spoke to one of our pork interest group meetings. But it's No More Food Fights. It's by Michelle Payne-Knoeper, and it's a book on how in current agriculture we need to defend current livestock production, and how we're going to have to take a more active role in defending livestock production in the United States.
Right. That is interesting. I was not aware of that book.
That book is copyrighted 2013.
Very good. And then the last question is, what separates successful swine professionals from those that are not, in your opinion?
Well, a successful swine professional has to have an attitude of being a little bit open-minded, of being willing to continue to learn, to accept that pigs change, people change.
Right.
And I think that another successful thing is the art of being the soft skills of working with people and being I would call maybe a soft leader, in that you listen to people, you gain the respect of people, and you lead without necessarily an iron fist and your authority, but actually really interacting with people.
Interesting. Very, very good. No, that makes total sense. Type of leadership. Very nice. Very good. I appreciate your time, Dr. Schinckel. It's been a pleasure having you in the podcast and discuss about this very important topic of trying to cool ourselves in the summer and also in some areas of the globe that's pretty hot year round.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Hey guys and girls, thank you so much for being part of our community, as well as thanks for all the great guests that we have had. I hope you enjoy this podcast as much as I do. To be part of our email list and get some exclusive materials, go to our website, www.swineit.com. That's swineit.com, and subscribe to our email list. Also, we love feedback. So if you use the Apple Podcasts app, please leave us a review. It is much appreciated. We'll talk soon.